Tomorrow marks 4 weeks since the day now known as Black Wednesday in Lebanon. On April 8th, the Israeli military, claiming to target Hezbollah militants, unleashed an unprecedented aerial campaign, killing more than 350 people in a matter of minutes. Special correspondent Simon Foltyn reports.
For days after Israel struck this Beirut neighborhood on April 8th, Ali Aboud kept coming back to look for his sister, Zahra. With the help of rescue workers, he's making a final attempt to find her underneath the rubble of what used to be his aunt's home.
They will start by moving the rubble over there. They will see if there's anything, if there's a smell, and they will leave the removal of the rubble until the very end.
Zahra was 26 years old, the youngest of 4 siblings. She held a bachelor's in biochemistry and was pursuing her master's. A young, promising life wiped out in the blink of an eye in what the Israeli military called Operation Eternal Darkness. It was April 8th, the first day of the ceasefire between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. Just when many Lebanese thought the worst was over, Israel dropped more than 100 bombs on Lebanon in the span of just 10 minutes. The unprecedented attack hit densely populated neighborhoods during Beirut's afternoon rush hour, and without warning. Ain al-Mreise on Beirut's waterfront corniche, once deemed safe, was attacked for the first time that day.
My dad called me that there was a strike on your aunt's house and your sisters can't be found. When we first started the search, we pulled out 22 bodies. Every time a new body was found, I prayed it wasn't Zahra, because I still hoped that she was alive in one of the hospitals.
But with every passing day, the hope that Zahra would be found alive has faded away. All they can hope for now is to find her body. They go up to the first-floor apartment to understand where Zahra might have been when Israel struck.
It was lunchtime. My aunt and the housekeeper were preparing food in the kitchen, and they retrieved them from the kitchen. Zahra was in her room.
That room is now a gaping hole ripped away by the Israeli missile as it tore through the 6-story apartment building. 18 families lived here, including Ali's aunt. Zahra on the right and her sister Malak on the left had come from southern Lebanon to stay with them when the war erupted in early March.
The girls were very scared. They were forced to go to their aunt's house here in Ain al-Mreise, an area that was considered safe.
And so who was inside the apartment when the strike happened?
They were all there. My 2 aunts, my aunt's husband, my 2 sisters, and the Sri Lankan maid.
Of the 6 people in the apartment, Malak was the only one to be pulled from the rubble alive. Ali's 2 aunts, his uncle, and Zahra were killed. The Israeli military said it was targeting Hezbollah.
It's all lies. This is not a Hezbollah area. This is a mixed area from different sects. And this is one of the oldest buildings. There were 22 bodies. All those pulled from the rubble were women and children and my aunt's husband, who was 82 years old. He couldn't even walk properly.
They were among at least 357 people killed on April 8th. It was the deadliest day of the war and became known as Black Wednesday. 9 days later, when the ceasefire finally went into force in Lebanon, funerals were held across the country. In Beirut's southern suburbs, people gathered to remember Ola al-Attar, a 32-year-old mother of 2. Relatives and friends tried to console Ola's mother as she cries out for her daughter. Her 2 sisters are still in disbelief.
She didn't come home. I was asking, where was the strike? Where was the strike? My mom said it was the place where Ola worked. She said, your sister is gone. What do you mean my sister is gone? Where was she? She went to work. She works at a dentist.
Ola wasn't the first in her family not to come home. Her husband, Hamad al-Attar, worked at the Beirut port and was killed in a devastating explosion in 2020. That explosion, caused by the improper storage of ammonium nitrate fertilizer in the port silos, killed 218 people. Ola joined other victims' families in a push for accountability, but death came faster than justice. She was killed 6 years after her husband, leaving behind 2 daughters, Zahra, aged 12, and Fatima, 7. Their paternal grandmother and their aunt have stepped in to try to replace the irreplaceable.
Their mother was everything for the girls. Can someone replace a mother? Ola carried a heavy burden. Children are a responsibility. You have to bring them to schools, to doctors. It was difficult to lose Hamad, but Ola closed the gap. At my age, I can't do what Ola was doing.
The loss of both parents has forced Zahra into a job no 12-year-old should have.
My sister and I, we've become orphans. But of course, I will go support my sister. I will go to school and I will study. I will raise my head so that my mother and my father can be proud of me.
Zahra is still in therapy to overcome her father's death and must now reckon with having found her mother's body. On top of that, there's the persistent fear of more Israeli strikes.
If I hear a civilian plane, I'm scared. I feel that a rocket will fall on me.
Fatima no longer likes being at home. She spends most of her time downstairs with her aunt Nancy.
She holds on to me at night, the way she used to sleep with her mother, hugging her because she was afraid to lose her.
Zahra visits the place where her mother was killed every day to look for her mobile phone, she says, or perhaps for answers that might never come. The Israeli military claimed to have killed 250 Hezbollah operatives on April 8th. For the IDF's claims to be true, all the male victims would have to be fighters. But in reality, many were ordinary civilians like Jamil Jarab. He was 26, a refugee from Syria and an aspiring chef at a well-known Asian restaurant in Beirut. Wael Laskani is the restaurant's owner.
He was very sweet, very much the strong and silent type. Like you couldn't get a word out of him, even when I wanted to. Like he was just very kind of holding it together, but extremely kind.
Jamil had recently married and had a 4-month-old daughter. He was working his way up and had just been promoted to prep cook.
It's kind of tough to accept that a child, like really just a kid who came here to have a better life, escape war, and build a safe and happy life for himself, ends up being massacred in broad daylight. You don't hit 20 sites at 2:30 when schools get out, when everybody's out for lunch, targeting Hezbollah. You're here, you're aiming for civilians.
Jamil's absence is dearly felt in this tightly knit community. Yasser Al-Omar is the head chef and, just like Jamal, from Aleppo, Syria.
He was light-hearted. He never annoyed anyone. He worked with sincerity. We feel a bit depressed. When we come here, we still imagine him here.
11 days after Zahra was killed, some of her remains were finally found and identified through DNA analysis. We joined the family as they visited the cemetery in her village, her final resting place.
We got upset and relieved at the same time. We got assurances that it was indeed Zahra, that she was martyred. We were relieved that we found something of her to bury. Thank God we could honor her.
Burying the dead is the only form of closure they can get. There is little hope for accountability.
If there was justice through international law, we wouldn't have gotten to this point. I lost my sister. The only justice lies with God. Other than that, there's no justice.
But these families will never forget. Black Wednesday will be remembered here as one of the darkest days in a history littered with massacres, the trauma forever etched into collective memory. For the PBS News Hour, I'm Simon Foltyn in Lebanon.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.